So welcome and good evening, everybody. This is a very special webinar event co-hosted by Vision Sports Ireland, Parkrun and Sight and Sound Technology. My name is Stuart Lawler and I am the Business Development Manager and Head of Content Creation at Sight and Sound Technology. So I look after a lot of this type of stuff for our company, webinars and podcasts and all sorts of stuff. And today we're absolutely delighted to be collaborating and talking about parkrun. It's a really strange time at the moment. It has been for a very long time, but it's a time when at the moment we all have to stay indoors and stay safe. And we can't, unfortunately, go out and about and go off running or walking in the parks, but we can stay together and stay connected and think about what we will be able to do in the future. And that's the purpose of this evening's session. Now, we're delighted to have so many people join us on Zoom today, and we'd love to hear from you because this is an informal chat and it's all about your feedback and comments as well. You can do that by using the Zoom meeting platform that we're on today. If you'd like to type in the chat area, if you have a question or a comment for our panelists who we will be talking to in a few minutes, you can press Alt and H if you're on Windows, or if you're using a mobile app, you can activate the chat button. Similarly, if you'd like to speak and have your voice heard, you can raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y on Windows or activating the raise hand button. And I'll do my very best to keep a close eye on the raised hands and chats and make sure that everybody gets to have their say. Now, Vision Sports Ireland and Parkrun, of course, are co-hosting this webinar with us. I just want to tell you, for anyone who doesn't know, that Sight and Sound Technology, we're Ireland and UK's leading supplier of assistive technology for people who are blind and low vision and those with reading and learning difficulties. And we've been around for a little over 40 years, and we've been here in Ireland for about 2.5 years. Absolutely delighted to be collaborating because that's a lot of what we at Sight and Sound do. We collaborate and work with community groups to make sure that everybody stays connected. And in the context of today, I suppose we have used our technology to make sure that this platform works so that we can all talk about parkrun and the joy that is parkrun. So I'm going to hand over to Pádraig Healy to say a few words from Vision Sports. Pádraig.
Thanks very much, Stuart, and delighted to be here with everyone this afternoon. I'm a keen park runner myself, but I don't think I'm anywhere near as many completed as Mairead and Barry, and who you'll meet later on our panel, and Stuart and Joan as well. But yeah, I am delighted to be here and represent Vision Sports Ireland this afternoon. So I guess just a little bit about Vision Sports Ireland. We're the national governing body promoting sport and physical activity for people who are blind and visually impaired. And I guess our values align very much with those of parkrun, and that it's all about getting active and engaging in physical activity in a fun and social way. You know, we're very acutely aware of the challenges which our members have been facing since the beginning of COVID, and we, as an organisation, we've been working hard to be innovative, and collaborating with Parkrun has been a huge part of that, with the long cane running and the passport system, which are both still in place, but again, just with the way current restrictions are, it's more and more difficult, and we're encouraging people to exercise at home and you know, look after their health. So again, we're just delighted to be here. Really looking forward to learning about Mairead and Barry, and we just want the listeners to know as well that, you know, what we'll be discussing this evening about trying to keep people active and motivate people, and encouraging people to look after their physical health. I guess, you know, the physical activity guidelines are 30 minutes 5 times a week for adults, 60 minutes 7 days a week for kids, you know, and it's really difficult at the minute to try and meet those targets. So I guess hopefully tonight's conversation will give us all a little bit of a lift and encourage us to do a little bit more within our home, or whether it's walking around our house or up and down the steps a few extra times, and we'll get a few extra tips. And just for people to be aware that Vision Sports Ireland and National Council for the Blind are here to support people. And should they have any queries or questions or anything, be sure to ask this evening, or to get in touch. Our contact details on our website. So for the minute, I'll hand back to you, Stuart, and looking forward to engaging with everyone this afternoon.
Thanks very much, Pádraig. Great to hear all that. And by the way, I am not at all, I'm a very novice. I wouldn't even call myself a park runner. I've walked, I think I met Joan 3 times during the year. So I feel very humbled here to listen to what the guys are going to talk about this evening, because I am not at all. I hope to get better at this stuff during the year. But look, I'm going to hand over to Joan Ryan from Parkrun. Joan is a really, really great lady. I've had the pleasure of chatting to Joan on a number of occasions, and there is no doubt that she has transformed what parkrun is for people with sight loss in Ireland over the last couple of years. And we're absolutely delighted that Joan has come along with 2 park runners, 2 gurus who are going to talk to us. So Joan, I'm going to hand it over to you and your gurus to chat to us this evening. Thank you very much.
Well, that's very kind introduction there, Stuart. So thank you very much, and thank you for having us here this evening, just to be able to talk about parkrun, my favourite subject. You know, what could be better? But the first thing I want to do is to wish everybody a very happy Nollaig na Mán. It's a tradition here in Ireland that on the 6th of January, the women get to take a back seat, and the men are supposed to make our dinner and look after us. But actually, it's a really interesting day, because it is the beginning of a new year. It's the finish of the old year and the beginning of a new year. So it's actually a really nice day to be talking about parkrun and looking forward, rather than listening to the news, which isn't quite so cheery just at the moment. So the first thing I want to tell you is a little bit about what parkrun is. The first thing is, if you only take one message away today, it is that you don't have to run at parkrun. Even though we're called parkrun, we welcome everybody. So whether you're a fast runner, an Olympian, we have some Olympians and Paralympians among our regular walkers and runners, or you're just starting out on a walking journey, then you're just as welcome at parkrun as everybody else. And it's a weekly, up until the 7th of March this year. Parkrun takes place every Saturday morning at 9:30, and it's a free event, and it's a community-run, volunteer-led event. And here in the Republic, we have 96 locations, from Falcarra in Donegal down to Inch Beach, Erris over and the tip of Mayo, Wexford, Athlone right in the centre of the country, quite a number in Dublin, and then right up to Dundalk on the border there. And in Northern Ireland, I know we have some people here this evening from Northern Ireland as well. There are 33 park runs. So every Saturday morning, we get together at 9:30. It's not glamorous. It's not the Olympics, and it really is just a group of people from the local community who get together. We do our 5K. We don't take it too seriously, although we do like our PBs, which stands for personal best, which Mairead is going to talk about a little bit later on as well. And then we generally just pack up and go for coffee afterwards. And it's hard to emphasize to you just how important the coffee afterwards is. It's just as important as the walking and the running, because really it's all about connecting with people and getting together. So I'm really happy to be able to introduce Mairead and Barry to you. Mairead, I think you have done more than 50 park runs, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I've more than 50 done, not much more because we got locked down then, but yeah, I'd be just over the 50 anyway.
You just got your 50th celebration in before Christmas last year, I think.
Yeah, I did, yeah. And for me, it was great too, like, because I'd often thought about parkrun before, about doing it, but I always kind of ruled it out because I was always under the impression that you had to run to do it and not be a walker. But then I knew Joan was doing it and a few people had said it to me, so I contacted Joan Ryan just to find out a bit more about it. And then I contacted the Tralee Parkrun office here, and I was talking to Siobhan, and she was really helpful to me, and she was there. No, you don't have to run, you can walk and do it at your own pace, and you can build up speed as you go along, and just take it at your own pace. So for me it was great, because even when I started off, like I would prefer to have physical contact with somebody when I'm being guided, rather than using a tether or something like that. Now, I did try a guide rope, but I didn't like that. So I just prefer to link somebody, and I started off walking, and then I started jogging a little bit for the park runs, and then I'd go back to walking and jog again. So I'd kind of alternate between the two. And as I kind of progressed week by week, like when I first started off, I think it took me 58 minutes or something like that to do the 5K. And then as the weeks kind of went by, I was getting a little bit faster every week and knocking a minute or two off. And, it just really kind of built up from there, and I started really enjoying it. And of course, then it was all about getting PBs, and I wanted to try and better it every week, but you can't do that all the time. But it was actually good. And then I think, the guides then as well are very good. I mean, Joan has trained them all up in the sighted guide training and all that. So again, like it's not a set rule. They'll guide you however you prefer to be guided. And I'm kind of the type of person that doesn't like too much detail when I'm walking. I don't like too much description or whatever. And especially after a few weeks, you kind of know all the different slopes and things around anyway. So, I kind of, when you're linking someone, you can kind of sense if they're going up a slope or something anyway, or if there's a little uneven pavement or whatever by the movement of their arms. So I kind of prefer that. And I think really the most important part is definitely the social aspect of it. It's something to look forward to every Saturday morning. And like, you make friends for life out of it then as well. I mean, I'm still in contact with a lot of people from parkrun even during this lockdown and things, and they do anything to help you. And it's just going for the coffee and things after as well, and maybe meeting up with someone during the week for a coffee if you don't go on the Saturday after. So I think it's all that. It's all the social aspect of it as well. Like,
they're really good points, Mairead. And actually, you mentioned some really important things there, that the sighted guides will always guide you in whatever way you want to be guided. So the first thing we will always ask you when you come along to parkrun is, what do you need? And it's actually that sentence we will say to somebody, because every person knows what their individual requirements are. They know their own vision impairment much better than we do. Even though we might have run with people for weeks beforehand, every person needs something different. So we will always listen to what you need. It might, in some cases, it might just be somebody running beside you providing a narrative if you just have a mild or a moderate vision impairment. As Mairead says, you can link arms, you can use a guide rope or a tether, you can bring your guide dog if you want to. Whatever really you feel comfortable with, so long as it's safe, we're very happy to accommodate you. And it's a learning curve. I think Mairead and Barry would probably agree. You get to know your guide gets to know you, you develop your language, you develop your skills and things like that. And you like a bit of music, Mairead, I think too.
I do.
Well,
and I've kind of built up a thing as well where I know kind of the guides that I can work really well with, that we just kind of click together, and we just know, they'll encourage you and push you and things as well if you want that, which I like. They'll push you to get faster, and they'll tell you that, come on now, another 2 minutes and all that kind of thing. So I kind of like that. So I kind of have a team of guides now that I kind of nearly ask weekly if they're free to guide me, and if they're not, I'll ask somebody else or put them forward for another week or whatever. So it's kind of important that you arrange your own guides as well if you can, after a few weeks, once you've built up a relationship with different guides.
Yeah, and if you can't, I mean, what we would usually suggest is, if somebody is listening who hasn't been to parkrun before, is to contact your local event and just let them know that you might need a sighted guide, and then they can put a call out on their Facebook page or with volunteers to see who locally is available. And I think Mairead makes a really good point there about, you have a team of guides. Usually there's about 4 or 5 guides per vision impaired participant, because there's some weeks you can't be a parkrun, or there's communion or weddings or whatever, so to have a range of people that are able to guide. And we usually aim to have a range of people who can guide at various paces. So if you are a runner or a fast runner, we hopefully will have fast running guides, but equally we have walking guides, you know. So whatever your pace is, we would hopefully have somebody, but contact the event in advance so we can put out the call. And if there aren't guides in the area, we will, myself and the long-suffering Andy, my husband, we'll eventually find you and we'll come down and we'll train some guides in your local area. So, and Barry, you actually run at Tralee as well, don't you? Even though you're a Dub,
well, yeah. So I suppose my first park run was in Tralee 2 years ago, February 2019, and I've done pre-COVID lockdown. I actually did 30 park runs, 28 in Tralee and 2 in Dublin, in Porterstown and also in Hartstown. Now, what happened before that was, although I was aware of the park run since 2017, finding a friend, a family member, or a volunteer to accompany me was a completely different story. But, you know, there was good news back in 2019. It was actually after walking into a pole in Tralee. I got a lovely headache after it. And because I'm a person with an acquired brain injury, headaches are really, really bad. They go on for weeks. But Maeve from the park run in Tralee, she walked me around the course. And I'll tell you something, it worked wonders for the headache. So I kind of certainly enjoyed the walk. Then I jogged, then I ran. And she did 1 lap, she did 2 laps. My headache was going away. So whatever park run does, or a jog or a run or the fresh air does for your head, it certainly works wonders for headaches. So so I suppose my first park run was 2 years ago on the Button. Now, since the lockdown, I've done other park runs in Dublin. Well, they're not park runs, but I think they call them not the park runs. They're 5K. I suppose they're 5K jogs, runs, or walks. So I suppose the first time I had ever done a park run, I hadn't ran in 10 years since losing my sight. And being able to run is a fantastic feeling, and being able to run down a hill is the thrill of the week for me. You know, especially when it's controlled, and you know, similar to Mairead, I'd be linking somebody's arm. So I suppose similar to Mairead, I would have used the I should put your hand on a person's elbow, whatever, as if you're being sighted guided. I have tried the elastic, but I didn't like that. It just didn't have the stability that I needed. And similar to Mairead, you can nearly feel that the person is going to turn right or go up or down a hill actually from the non-verbal. You're feeling it from their arm. You're getting the body language, if that's the word to describe it. So so I suppose what I found over the years is, for a person with a back injury, the park run has worked wonders for the back injury, because when you can walk, jog, or run at somebody else's speed, whatever it does to that muscle memory, it certainly works wonders for a back injury. And I suppose the thing is the military precision. You know, that the great thing in Tralee was that there were guide runners trained. You don't have to rely on friends or family members, because sometimes that's a tall order, let's say. You know, it's a bridge too far. So it's fantastic. There was a pool of trained guide runners in Tralee that you can give notice. A message is sent out on the WhatsApp group. And it's really fantastic. Like, it's a meet or greet. When you show up at the town park at the entrance, you don't need to worry about anything. Somebody is on the lookout for you. You know, they bring you to the pep talk. It's a nice thing, you know, celebrating people's achievements. Have they done 25 park runs, 50 park runs, celebrating people's birthdays, etc. And the great thing in Tralee is there's music as well. So there's music played through a boombox. So what I found is, the first time I did it, I was slow. I was about 75 minutes, an hour and a quarter. But at the end of the day, it's, as people say, it's park run. It's not a race. It's all about completing the 5K at the end of the day at whatever speed you want. You can walk, jog, or run, because the first lap is always the worst, and second lap is a bit tough going also. But I suppose certainly some benefits. I would have got something simple like an ankle sprain, which people with sight loss get from time to time, unfortunately, which had formerly taken me sometimes months to recover from, because you can twist your ankle again during recovery. With something like the Porterstown Park Run in Dublin, unfortunately, about a third of it's uphill, so it's very different to Tralee. But in just the space of 1 week, I noticed a significant improvement in the stability of my ankle. And in 2 weeks, my ankle was as good as new. So it just shows you being able to walk, jog, or run with the guide runner is certainly a liberating experience. So I suppose the highlight for me is being able to run down hills at speed. And I suppose if you do get tired, because some of these routes are different, Porterstown and Dublin, I find that it's kind of a rough, because about a third of it is uphill, and indeed it has its own microclimates, if I can use that word. So it can be lovely and warm in most of the course, and then it can get very cold in other courses. So places like Tralee would have that as well, a place called the Dog Leg, which is all exposed, so you can certainly feel the cold going right through you. But I suppose the last thing to say, two very quick things to say, is the guide runners do go the extra miles, to describe the landscape, the tree routes, to going down hills, indeed puddles. They're very good at telling you about puddles, so you can stand on your tippy toes to walk through puddles for maybe 10 meters or so. I suppose the other thing I've also, like, it's an amazing task that a guide runner is giving up like an hour of their time between meet and greet, walking you from the entrance to the pep talk, covering the 5K with you, keeping you safe during all that time. And indeed afterwards, when your barcode is scanned and you get your PB or personal best, actually walking you back out to the exit afterwards. So to take all that stress out of, actually finding entrances and exits, and that's what it's all about. And I suppose the last thing to say is just during the lockdown. Now, I've had the pleasure of doing 15 5K lockdown runs, and I was a bit dubious initially of using the 2 meter tether, because it's like a train. The guide runner is in front of you and they're holding the 2 meter long cane with their right hand, and you're holding it with your right hand. So, or indeed it can be your left hand, because the guide runners are very accommodating. So initially I was very skeptical of it. I didn't think it would work, and I thought it would go kind of horribly wrong. But in fact, my speed increased over the weeks, and I've got to a stage now I'm nearly back to the 42-minute mark, which was one of my fastest over the years. So I have to say the guide runners certainly go the extra mile, and particularly during these lockdown times, because I understand in St. Anne's Park and a few other locations as well that guide runners are there to break those lockdown blues. And I suppose the last thing to say is, just during the first couple of months of lockdown, wearing masks all the time or being on a long train journey, it does change your breathing. Like for me, there was shallow breathing, and I'd start breathing a certain way. And for me, being able to do the park run, or the 5K lockdown 5K run, I was initially using a mask, but I found that using a mask for 5K, you're nearly choking after it. You're just not taking in the necessary level of oxygen. So I found that, it's just very, very difficult to run with the mask on you. But I have to say that the people from the Porterstown Panthers who've guided me for the 15 times have gone the extra mile, because they're ensuring the 2 meter long cane tether to maintain social distancing, but having to navigate around other park users is no easy task, because other park users could be runners, walkers, parents bringing a baby out in a buggy for fresh air, bringing kids out on the bicycles, etc. But in the real park runs, having to navigate in Tralee, I think there's 300 people. So having to navigate around all those people at speed is certainly no easy task. So anyway, sorry guys, that's the long story over with.
Barry, thanks a million. And I'm thinking of the Porterstown Panthers. It sounds like there's a bit of music there somewhere. They should be in tune for these guys. I just want to go through, Joan, if you don't mind, just some of the messages in the chat area. And I know you've mentioned a few of them already, or you've responded to some of them, Joan, in chat. But maybe just to mention a few of them as well. Tracy was asking, are all park runs on a bus route that might be accessible for people to get to independently? And they're not quite all, I think, Joan.
They're not quite all, and certainly, Tracy, when new park runs are being considered now, I am certainly advocating that we take into account how public transport they are on a public transport route. for exactly that reason. Some of them take place in quite remote areas, and it's just where a local group will have started their park run. But certainly it is something that as new park runs come on board, we're just becoming very aware of that there is good public transport. Because I mean, one of the ethoses of parkrun is to share lifts and to use public transport. We have a leave no trace ethos as well as all of our other aspirations, but that is one of our things. But one of the things, and actually Tralee, where Mairead and Barry run, is a really great example of where this happened. Is there are a number of guides who will actually provide a lift to another park runner, say a vision impaired park runner. Now, we can't guarantee that this is going to happen, but what we always do is we make the events aware of just how difficult it is to access the start line. So we would maybe put a call out and see would there be anybody in that local area. And certainly in Tralee, one of the other park runners certainly avails of that a lot of the time. And it's an important thing to mention as well. Barry touched on it there. Often there will be 2 or 3 people involved in being the guides, the volunteer guide, in just one park run. So one volunteer might give a lift, right, bring the person in the car. Another volunteer might be the actual run or walk guide on the course, if you like. And then another guide might be the person who accompanies the vision impaired participant to the coffee shop afterwards and just does practical things like, reads the menu for you in the coffee shop, or, and things like that. So it's a real community, a real group effort. And often there's more than one person, more than one guide for each vision impaired participant. But if you do need somebody to meet you at the bus stop, if it is one where we're lucky enough that there's a bus route, we can have a guide like they do with Barry at Tralee. They meet him at the gate, but we can have a guide come down to the bus stop and walk you through, to the start line and show you where to leave your gear when you're walking or running. And same thing, as Barry again mentioned, bring you back to where you've dropped your gear and get all of that sorted for you afterwards.
Okay, brilliant, Joan. That's super. I'm just going to go through a few more of the little chat messages here. We've a message from Larry Healy. He says, "Well done, Barry." I presume you know Larry.
Larry is a Porterstown Panther.
There you go, Porterstown Panther. There's music in that somewhere. We have to have a Porterstown Panther theme tune.
Stuart, we'll wait for a tune to come out of that.
Don't you? Yeah. Message from Rob, who says, "Thanks all. Great to hear how such a democratic activity as parkrun is serving so many communities," and absolutely, so say all of us. Really interesting question from Joe Garrity, which actually is something I wanted to ask as well. Just wondering how Mairead and Barry are getting any exercise during lockdowns. And I think this is a really interesting question, isn't it? Because how are we all managing? I know there's days I go out for a walk and it's slashing rain, and I just say, "Oh, I'm not going out today," but I feel terrible by the end of the day. So guys, can we throw it open? How are you guys doing this during the day at the moment? And are there things we can do indoors to keep ourselves fit? Mairead or Barry, if either of you want to take that.
Yeah, like I suppose what I'm trying to do is to keep those long cane skills active. Now the weather is pretty horrendous at the moment, so with frost and ice on the ground, I couldn't head out until 12 o'clock in the day, let's say, until the ice or frost is gone. So I'm just doing the small little things. If it's say a 40-minute walk back and forth, if it's to go to a post box, if it's to go to a shop, but it's all about the routine. Now I do appreciate here rain is a big problem, and also the fact these days at 4 o'clock in the evening it gets dark very quickly. Now unfortunately what dark means is that it gets very cold very quickly. So yeah, it's all about just trying to get out and about. The fresh air is what it's all about, and trying to wrap up with gloves and hats and cardigans and extra layers. As far as I know, John Acton had some very, very good tips. He has some Samsung Health app on his phone, and he's been walking up and down the stairs at home, believe it or not. And I heard earlier on that he'd done 5 kilometers, Joan, walking up and down the steps in his house.
So I know John is listening, is listening in today. So he actually gave me permission to divulge his secret fitness plan. He's using, exactly as Barry says, the Samsung Health app on his phone, and he sets it to a 5K workout because he particularly wants to do 5K to replicate his park run. And then he runs or walks up 2 steps and down 2 steps on the stairs. And he can hold the banister as well, because that's important just for balance. And he puts an exercise mat on the floor to dampen the noise. And he plugs into some music. So we could have you could plug into the Porterstown Panther new music you're going to create there, Stuart.
Joan, don't put me under pressure here, you know. I'm just, I think
or a podcast or something like that. And then the app tells him every kilometer that he's run. So I thought that was just such a fantastic, but just innovator. He also suggested some HIIT, so high intensity interval training, is it? He suggested that there's an app. Sorry, there's a one on YouTube called Hit the Ground Running, and they're 30-minute sessions. He said they're quite tough. And he also suggested some of the Joe Wicks HIIT exercises as well. So, I mean, if you Googled any of those, I actually Googled the Hit the Ground Running one, and I found it was the first one that came up. So that's what John has been doing at home when on the weeks where he can't run with Larry and Barry and Declan and Vivian and
the rest of the Porterstown Panthers. Okay.
And even if I can just come in there on that, I was reading recently that there's 37% of people are now wearing tech in relation to exercise tech. So it's it's incredible and fantastic to hear John's experience and how he's using it as a motivating and really making ourselves accountable of our exercises, our daily activity, albeit we're in restrictions, but it's just, and that's something from a Vision Sports perspective. We're actually going to launch a survey tomorrow to see what at-home exercises people would like to engage in over the coming weeks. So that's something we're looking at, that people can log in via Zoom and engage, and again, have that social element to exercising, along with the tools that are already available to people online. There's some fantastic classes available, and it's writing it down as well. I'm sure, Barry, you might be keeping note of what you're doing every day, as what you would have been doing when your 5Ks were getting better. And if we can do that now as well, it makes us accountable of the number of steps we're getting in, or how long we're up off the chair, or little things like that.
Yeah, and I suppose the other exercise I'd have just for a shoulder injury is things like, it's like a standing up press up. You got your 2 hands against the wall and you're pressing back and forth. And there's another one with a work top. You can put your 2 hands on the work top and bring your chin towards the work top and go back and forth. But in terms of tech, you raise an interesting question there, because I wasn't aware of this. Sometimes you're out, you're running, you start off slowly in a kind of a run. Now, it's a great experience to run. It's certainly liberating, and I guess the breathing back to normal. But one of the guys, Declan, who's on the Porterstown Panthers, he has one of these Garmin watches, and he has what's called a 4+1 system. So he introduced me to this, and the idea is that you run or jog for 4 minutes, and then for the other minute you take it handy. And it's certainly motivational, because you can be told, yeah, it's another minute now to our break. And even though you're running up a hill and it feels absolutely awful, it's something to look forward to. So the tech, it's everyone to themselves. But the great thing about Park Run is you can rest, you can feel absolutely destroyed, you can walk the rest of it if you want, and you can have a chat, which is, makes the journey that bit easier. But certainly for me, the 4+1 worked. That could be something for any of the new participants. I'm not sure is it available on a phone, but it is on those Garmin watches, and it seemed to work for me fairly well.
And of course, the great thing with a lot of this smart technology is that you can connect it to your phone, to your smartphone, and get the readouts. Mairead, we will come back to you in a minute to find out what you're doing when you can't get out, because I do want to hear that. But I just we have a hand raised from Roisin Lenihan. So Roisin, I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask your question, because we'd love to hear another voice. And I know there's some queries coming in on chat as well that I'll go back to. One from Oren, which I'll get to in a minute. So and actually, just before I unmute Roisin, Richie was just mentioning on chat, and kind of paraphrasing here, but he was essentially saying that the people he has worked with training as guides get so much from this as well, and they basically can't wait to be back. So I think that's really good to hear. So Roisin, I've just unmuted you, so you should be able to unmute yourself. You might just have to press.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How are you?
Hi, Roisin.
Hiya. Okay, so I'll just say it quickly because I'm unfortunately have to leave. But if anyone has an Alexa in their house, the body coach is very good, and Joe X, he does a good job of describing how to do the exercises. And I do it every day myself and one or two of my other friends. And so we do it through Zoom. So I'm willing to have more people on a Zoom if they want to join in. It lasts for 15 minutes. And there's all different levels. There's levels 1 to 7, and you can repeat the level as many times as you want.
Wow, that's fantastic, Roisin. So this is on the Alexa device. You can just call up the skill, I presume.
You just say Alexa, open body coach.
Okay, bro, that's what I'm going to get going then tomorrow.
Sorry, Alexa.
Oh, Alexa. Lexia wants you to start it. All right, Roisin, thanks a million for that. We appreciate the comment, okay? And thanks for participating.
No problem.
Okay, that was Roisin. Now, Mairead, I'm dying to hear what you're doing to...
What am I doing? Well, all I'm doing really is just getting out and going for maybe about a 2K walk, like twice a day. Even if it's just going downtown to go to a shop or the chemist or whatever, it's just to get out really. But like, obviously it's not as fast. You wouldn't be walking at as fast a pace as if you were doing parkrun or whatever, because you're using the canes. So, but look, it's just to get out and things at the moment anyway.
Fantastic.
And I suppose another thing that I meant to mention about the parkrun as well is it's great that you can actually do other park runs as well. And it counts when you, if you want to do, like, for example, I've went on parkrun tours to like St. Anne's and one in Galway and Bear Island. So I've done them a Saturday here and there and Ballincollig, and it all counts towards your different park runs. So if you're gone to Cork for 1 week and you can't make your Tralee one, well, you can do one in Cork if you want, and as long as you have somebody to guide you, or if you don't, you can contact the park run and see is there anyone available to guide you there. So it's nice because you get to meet people from other different park runs as well, and you just get to, it's a different route, it's a different experience. So and I was lucky because I was able to travel with people from Tralee to a lot of those park runs as well. There was a group of people going, so there's a good social atmosphere.
Fantastic, Mairead. Thanks a million for that. We have a message from Patrina on chat who says, I'm now doing a dance and self-fit 28-day dance challenge. And it's about an hour a day, includes cardio workout. And Audrey is asking, is Saturday morning the only time the group parkrun meet? This is the not parkrun, I suppose, or is parkrun generally a Saturday thing, Joan, or are there other times? When
we're in normal times,
when it takes place,
the only time that the 5K parkrun takes place. In Ireland, it's 9:30 every Saturday morning. Now there is a junior parkrun on a Sunday morning at 9:30, but the actual parkrun is only on a Saturday morning. Now, having said that, at the moment we're doing these not parkruns, and we can still log them. They don't count as a parkrun credit, but they have league tables amongst the various parkruns. There's keen rivalry between St. Anne's and Tralee and a few others as to who clocks the most not parkruns every week. But you can do that your parkrun any time, any day or time of the week. And actually you can do it, Mairead, this might be of interest, you can do it in chunks if you want, because you're not parkrun. So you could add your 2Ks together and 1K over a period of time and make that into 5K. you know, and
right.
put your cumulative time in as a not parkrun. I'm sure Tralee would be delighted to have an extra not parkrun credited to them.
I thought you'd have to have it all together.
For the not parkrun, there's no
Yeah.
rules. You can do it any way you like. And I think that's actually just a nice way to introduce something that Parkrun launched today, which is called the Parkrun Resolution. And it was really just a way of giving us all something to work towards and aim towards, because like all park runners, I'm as devastated and disappointed that we still aren't back to our normal Saturday morning run and walk. So what Parkrun have devised just for the new year is an 8-week plan called Parkrun Resolution. And what they just want you to do is to do something and to let us know. You can tag yourself in hashtag Parkrun Resolution or not, but and let your local parkrun know what you're doing. So it could be your Dance Yourself Fit. It could be, Mairead, you're doing your 2K around the town and then doing that on a number of times. It could be Barry doing his not parkrun with the Porterstown Panthers. You could even just do 1 kilometre every single day and add it together to make your 5K. But I think the real message is do something. It's very easy at the moment, between the weather and the news and the COVID and the whole lot, to just get very down and do nothing. And really what Parkrun is saying is let's do something. Let's keep connected. Let's talk about it together. You know, let your local parkrun know what you are doing. Let them know you're out there. And the one thing I think Barry and Mairead will both testify is parkrunners are very enthusiastic. You know, we love cheering each other on. So if you're doing anything at all, you know, you'll get great support on your local parkrun Facebook page, and people really want to hear what you're doing. And it's a great way of staying connected and just reminding ourselves that you know, better days are ahead. We can't say when Parkrun will be back, but it will be back, and we can't wait to be back, and we can't wait to welcome back our vision impaired participants. We can't wait to get back ourselves. We can't wait to get back to volunteering. But in the meantime, let's keep doing something. Let's keep connected, and let's just keep talking to each other and keep doing something or other.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you, Joan. Victoria, who's one of our participants, Victoria Kaminska. Victoria, I saw you had your hand raised and now your hand has gone back down. So I'm not sure if you wanted to make a comment. If you do want to, please put your hand up. And Patrina Finn is asking, how do we register for the Not Park Run? Or sorry, for the Parkrun Resolution, Joan, sorry. So how can people?
You don't actually have to register at all, you know, just get in touch with your local parkrun. So Patrina, I think Old Bridge would be your closest, as I recall it, or Dundalk have a great, I know we've talked about Dundalk before, Dundalk have a great crew up there as well, and there's a lot of guides up there. So you just look up for the Dundalk Facebook page or the Old Bridge Parkrun Facebook page, and let them know what you're doing. When Parkrun starts back, you do need to register for Parkrun. You register just once and you print off a barcode. And if you've any issue with printing off your barcode, just let your team, they'll print it off for you. And if it's in Tralee, it'll be laminated as well. But, you know, so if there's any practicalities like that we can help you with, but you print off your barcode and you just do that once and you bring it with you every week, and that's how we scan your time. But for the Not Parkrun or the Parkrun Resolution, you don't have to register at all. Just let us know that you're out there.
Just go ahead and
go to parkrun.ie. You can sign up for the Parkrun newsletter, and there'll be a lot more information on that. But Parkrun is on Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on Twitter, and every day they're kind of posting little motivational tips and messages and things like that, and people's stories. So if you're doing the Not Parkrun or the Parkrun Resolution and you want to tell them about your story, they'd love to hear about it, and then we can all celebrate it.
Okay, thank you, Joan. And Richie has been answering some questions on the chat already, which is very much appreciated. But Oren's question was about parkrun. Is there anything in Blanchardstown and Castleknock? And Richie suggesting Hartstown or Porterstown. He could become one of the Porterstown Panthers.
Yes, and we have extra guides at Porterstown.
There you go.
The Porterstown crew meet every Friday at the moment, because it's not actual parkrun. We can do it any day we want. So they meet on a Friday. So if you're interested, or just get in touch with me, Joan.Ryan at Parkrun, and I can put you in touch with you could become one of the Porterstown Panthers. For Stuart's group.
For my sig tune, we'll write the song before the end of the next webinar. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the hands. We have a hand raised from John Acton. So John, I'm going to unmute you, and you should be able to tap your Zoom so that you can unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. And then Victoria, your hand was up, it's gone back down, but if you do want to put your hand up, if you want to ask something, we'll come to you after John. So
hi, John here. Thanks for everybody coming in here. I just want to reiterate that I also partake in the Porterstown Parkrun every Friday morning, which I really enjoy, and it's 3 laps with its own microclimate of what we call a manhole alley, which you have to dodge with the guide. I won't reiterate what Barry has been saying, the whole concept of holding on to the 2-meter cane. I would like to add in at this point, it is important, I find, to do some exercise at home when I find it so hard to get out and about on my own. I find it impossible. So I have had devised homework exercises, and so I had started off in the beginning, and I had a mini stepper, which I kind of grew out of that, and then that's how I developed the 5-kilometer stairs, and which I find really good because it stimulates the destroying yourself after 30 odd minutes or 40 minutes of running up and down, and then you get totally breathless, but it kind of simulates my kind of 5K running. And there's one thing I'd like to add, which I find it quite good recently, is resistance bands. They're kind of like a big, long latex kind of bands, and you kind of stretch the rubber, and you kind of stretch your legs, or you do something. But I think it is important, I find, to have a routine of doing exercise, even if you only start off like doing 5 or 10 minutes a day, but just pick a particular time of the day, kind of a routine day, like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. Turn on the music you like, rock and roll or something heavy, and play hard. And but just it's important. I find it very important mentally to do some sort of a regular exercise in this pandemic, because I think we're going to be shut down for a long time, I'm afraid. Okay, that's all I have to add.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Really, really great comments there. And by the way, just to say that we have mentioned a few websites on the session today. Joan has mentioned a few things. We've put some stuff in the chat, but I'm going to collate everything, and I'll send an email tomorrow to anybody who's registered for this session and who attended tonight. You will get an email tomorrow, and I'll try to put everything that was mentioned tonight in the session to save you having to frantically note things down. Might be helpful. Okay, so we're going to go to Victoria, who's had her hand raised for a long time. Apologies, Victoria, your hand must be very tired. It's a good way to keep fit, maybe. So we're going to allow you to just unmute you there, Victoria. You might just have to tap your Zoom to unmute yourself. And then...
Audio now unmuted alert.
There you go, we have you.
Hello.
Hi, Victoria.
Hello, it's very nice listening to all of you. It sounds very interesting. I love running, but I have 2 big issues with running. Is that first I have asthma, which kind of stops me. I can't run for a long distance, and then the second thing is I have allergy to grass and plants and trees.
Alert.
So it is hard to even go for a walk. I went for a walk a week ago, and I was very badly red and had a very bad allergy reaction. So it is very difficult, but like I have an exercise bike, and I do like 40 minutes every day, and I take part in, because I train judo, so I take part in online sessions with different clubs from England and loads of different countries. So that's how I do the exercising, because it makes me better with my mental health.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Victoria. And I think it's really important, as you say, just even doing stuff online or doing something on a bike, even there's great things there that you've given us ideas for. So thanks a million. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And I was just going to say, Stuart, there's an interesting one with the kind of allergies and grass. Now, I know it's a long way away, but I know in Ireland there's 2 locations that are actually on beaches. One of them is Inch Beach in Kerry on sand, and you run up and down the sand. And there's another one somewhere up in Donegal. Now, it's possible there may be other locations with sand. I'm not sure.
Yeah, sounds lovely, and it's nice to get a bit of sand and you get the nice sea air at the same time.
And actually Portrush as well, Portrush in County Down, and Narran Beach in Donegal, and then Inch Beach. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on asthma or anything like that, but one of our other vision impaired park runners suffers from asthma, and I think maybe if your GP was happy with it, even walking and not worrying about the running side of things, you know, does help with that. Obviously, you'd have to check that your GP was happy for you to do that. But if you needed a guide for walking, Victoria, just let us know and we can see if we can organise that for you.
Okay. Thank you, Joan. So I'm very conscious that it's almost 6:25. We've been almost going an hour, which is brilliant. We've had some really interesting questions, and it's been great to hear from our park runners. So thanks very much, guys. And as I say, we will email tomorrow. I will send a list of everything that was kind of mentioned, any resources that were put in the chat, and I'll put them all into an email. And I suppose stay tuned to all our social medias, because we do hope to do something else in the line of webinars, I think, in the future, and just again keeping people connected. Joan,
George, if I could just before you finish up there, if I could just come in and just thank Mairead and Barry and John for, you know, giving their practical tips in relation to staying fit and healthy at home, because I think it's something we'll all really benefit from, you know. And John's example of going up and down the stairs, and Mairead getting out for her short walks, and combining, like Joan was saying, combining all of that towards your park run resolution, because it makes us feel part of something, and it gives us something to work towards. If we're aiming to get in our 5K by 9:30 Saturday morning, it gives us something to work towards on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we just really encourage people to do their best to stay active, because it'll certainly benefit our mental health in the long run, and we get through these tough couple of weeks ahead, and please God, we'll be out meeting each other again in the park runs around the country in the summertime.
Completely agree, Pádraig. And actually, I often think, and I know other people have said it, if you've been out, if you've done anything during the day, whether it's a walk or maybe you've done your exercise, you just feel better, don't you? Psychologically, I think in your own head, you feel better.
Yeah.
I just have a really quick, we do have a hand raised, so we might as well do this, from Louise Goff. So Louise, I'm just going to unmute you. You'll just have to unmute yourself on Zoom.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm living out in Ashbourne. Now my daughter Sophie is 12. You probably know her from the NCBI, but she's visually impaired. And I'm just wondering, where would the nearest park run beach was in Ashbourne?
Ashbourne, County Meath. I'm just trying to think. Maybe even some of the ones around Swords might be.
Yes, yeah. Now my mother's park where I grew up would be Albert College Park. I don't know, would they have
actually a junior park run at Albert College.
Is there? Oh, very good.
Yeah, and the junior park runs are 2 kilometres. So Louise, if you want to contact me, I'll certainly
I will indeed. Yeah,
I'd certainly put you in touch with your local. But you've some of the North County Dublins, you've got Ardgillan there in Skerries,
yeah.
You've got Rush Juniors. They might, and then you've got Avon Park Run, which is a really lovely.
Yes, yeah, because because she's very interested as well in joining.
Fantastic.
So this might be give her a taste, like get her into it.
And we just got a message, sorry, Joan, on chat from Larry Healy, who says that Tyrrellstown is not far from Ashburn. So that's another option.
Oh, great. That's another option. That'd be fantastic.
You can do tourism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Try them all out.
See which one you like best.
Yeah, and actually there's a new junior parkrun opening in Castleknock, which isn't too far away.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
I can't actually remember the name of it, but the first week parkrun returns. It was due to start. It will be starting the first week the parkrun returns.
Yes, yeah.
If you contact me, Louise, we'll get you up.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's just at the other point, if you don't mind me saying, Stuart, is that if anyone is listening and they are interested, if you go to the parkrun website, parkrun.ie,
yes,
a map, but there's also a list of all the parkruns all over Ireland. And if you have a look at where the nearest one is to you, or maybe the one that's that's easiest for you to get to by public transport, but message the local event. I've already forewarned them that they may be having some inquiries. Just message them and let them know you're out there.
Yes,
we can start a conversation and see we can start getting things in train so that when parkrun does return, we're ready to welcome you. So let's use this time to get all our organizational bits and pieces done. But definitely you'd be very, very welcome.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louise. Thanks for your question. Thank you very much. Okay, and Joan, just a quick on the chat, Trina is asking, can she have your email address? Do you want to shout out your email?
I'm just going to pop it into the chat. If anyone wants it.
And I will, if anyone misses the chat, because I know some people find the chat a little bit tricky, we will send all these out on Zoom tomorrow. Barry and Mairead, thank you so much. I think you've inspired us. You've certainly made me think about things I need to do personally to become a bit more fit. So thank you very much.
No hassle. And Stuart, one thing I just wanted to say, just wanted to acknowledge the fantastic work being done by Joan, going all around the country, training all those guide runners and making it all possible. So a special thank you to Joan for all that.
Well, I have to say, it's not actually me, it's actually volunteers at all the parkruns. And I just want to give a particular mention to Richie O'Connor, who was already volunteering and helping out in the chat there. He was, yeah. Brilliant. So much work at St. Anne's. You know Richie Stewart, because he's a great guy, yeah. The benefit of his organisational skill. But parkrun is entirely run by volunteers, and it's not me who does it, it's the volunteers from Letterkenny to Tralee to all around the country. They're the ones that do it every single week. But as Richie says, we love doing it. We're all a bit obsessed. So thank you, Beth.
And you know something, and I think that one of the things that has come out strongly today is plan, get prepared, get ready, because we will all be back. 2021 is going to be better, and we're all going to hit the ground running in the parks in the hopefully not too distant future.
Don't forget you can walk if you just want to hit the ground walk.
Yes, as I've done all the time. Joan and Pádraig, of course, thank you so much as well. It's been a great evening, and we hope to be back in the future. So keep an eye on our website, social media, and I will include all those links on the mail that we send out tomorrow. But from Vision Sports Ireland and Parkrun and Sight and Sound Technology, this has been a really collaborative, great first session, and we're delighted to have been able to bring it to you. Stay safe and stay well. Look after yourselves, and we talk to you all soon. Thank you very much.